For the first episode of The Long Con, I get the opportunity to sit down with Juan Barraza, the co-founder and executive director of Latino Founders. I've known Juan since he was a founder himself, and I've always enjoyed watching his progress and success in the Portland startup community through any number of iterations. Juan, I want to thank you for taking the time to just be the beta test of this whole thing, and we'll see how it goes. But first and foremost, like what do you want to talk about? What do you want to focus on in this talk?
Wow, it's so many things to talk about.
It's been so long.
Over 10 years?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, it's just so many things we've seen, things that work, things don't work.
Yeah.
And things that always are the same. We're very interesting times, right? Where we're talking about economic development,
yep.
Some self-inflicted wounds with tariffs and economic policies at national level.
Yeah, tell me.
How startups are dealing with that. And
yep.
I think we will focus on the fundamentals. I think you always have a mentor tell me, you got to go back to the basics. When things don't work out, you got to go back to the basics,
yep.
right? And what is long-term vision? We're impatient, right? We're in the
very much
Instagram, TikTok Reels, 5-minute learnings. You know everything you need to know, but we forgot that things takes time to marinate and
yep.
to those results. My mind is a lot into what we're building now.
Yeah,
it's not for us; it's for the next generation. Or what do you call it? Dot connectors, ecosystem builders, capitalizers.
Yeah, like the people doing the community work, like that next generation of folks.
One thing that would love to pass to the next generation of people, because you and I are going to be sipping Mai Tais in Costa Rica soon.
Let's hope.
It's a cost to what we do, right? And oftentimes we don't realize that in order for all of this to work in our city, in our ecosystem, somebody's paying a price. It's a price in resources, a price in time, it's a price in money. We shortchange ourselves where we don't take all that in consideration.
Right. Yep. Agreed. No, and I think it would be unwise of us to hand off the same thing we've lived through to a new generation. Like, we need to improve upon it and then enable them to kind of take it to the next level. And I think it'd be important, like, the reason I so value your perspective on this is because you've been doing this a long time. Like, I can remember first encountering you as a founder. Like, you've had many roles in the community, but I always remember you as a founder first. And I think that's where a lot of the empathy comes from. That's where a lot of the understanding comes from. Take us back to your kind of history, like as far back as you want to go. You can start with the founder. You can start prior to that, like the inspiration, those kind of things. Just like, I would like to give people the kind of breadth of your experience from being an entrepreneur founder, dealing with a university incubator accelerator environment, and now where you are today with Latino Founders, and like what you're hoping to accomplish there.
Yeah. I remember working on a trauma level 1 center here at the city. It's not difficult. We only have two. One is in the Hill, one is in North Portland, right? So you can take a second guess. And that was a very interesting point in my professional life. I left a job that it required me to be on 24/7.
Yep.
And I wanted to do something that I felt good, give back to the community. But I did not want to bring the job back after I was done, right?
Okay.
And I have a good friend that was doing medical interpretation. And I asked how I can do that. I mean, I'm bilingual.
Yep.
And she told me, well, you're bilingual, but you don't have all the tools you need to become a medical interpreter.
Okay.
You got to go to certain training to understand the medical terminology. And there's a nuance to medical interpretation where you have to get used to communicating for the patient, but without adding your personal bias. You have to actually word by word, back and forth between medical terminology and the patient. Anyway, I started working there. I love it. I got to meet a lot of people. I got to do cool spaces. I remember seeing my first catheterization. Somebody they need to have their stent be put in place. I think that's the moment that I knew I needed to do something different. When it comes down to serving our community, especially those with limited English proficiency.
Yep.
I remember being a couple of days before Christmas, long day, they called me back. I was reluctantly went back to the hospital to do an interpretation, and that was a 30-year-old father with a 9-year-old son. The son was interpreting, and they couldn't figure out what it was that he needed to be taken care of. Went through the motions, talked to the doctors, left questions. Before I knew, they had me pair of scrubs, and they said, "You're going in." I said, "Well, I'm not the patient. He's the patient." No, it's like they need to do a conscious sedation. I went to the cath lab and talking to the patient while they were placing the stent, and I realized that it's a huge segment of our population that the medical care is delayed.
Yep.
Because it's not somebody available to for them to communicate with doctors at real time. And that's what I started exploring. How can we bring medical interpreters into the emergency rooms, doctor's office at real time, and I started digging around. I stumbled into the solutions, Polycom, Cisco, big system, very expensive. And I found this tiny startup, it's called Zoom. They was doing everything through a computer, internet connection. And they were offering their API for people that wanted to build something with the technology in the back end and become clients. So I run a couple pilots.
And had you done anything like this before? Like just, you're like, that's out there, I'm going to make it work?
Make it work. I went to school. I have business school. I dabble always in computers. I'm not an engineer, but always curious. So it's just figure out YouTube is amazing. And asking questions to right people, you can learn a lot. So I started building the company. One of the things that I never done that was raising capital. And I was looking for a place where they could introduce people with money. Sounds familiar? People that got checks. And they were telling me, "Oh, you got to talk to some folks over here. You get invited to the university club and you got to pitch to some angels. Oh, by the way, you have to pay for pitching." Yeah, I done that. Like I never quickly realized that, I just bought somebody lunch. I stumbled into the PSBA. I remember walking into the PSBA. They have this program called Love to Market. And they accepted me to the program. That was a week-long program. And then I started to get into the startup ecosystem. PSBA, I would say the golden days of the PSBA as we know it. I know they have a new iteration, new location, a new crew. That was where all the investors in town will take meetings there. All the people that were building cool companies that were there. A startup weekend was happening there all the time, and I met cool people. I got to meet you, Stephen Green, Mitch, Sachi Jane. Met all John Maroney, Angela Jackson, who happens to always, I don't know how she does it, wears multiple hats, but they're working for university and the Port and Seed Fund, Nitin Rai, and the crew from Rogue. So I started to get to know.
Say this must have been 2012, 2013, somewhere around there?
Something around there. I got an office at the PSBA, tiny desk. I was bunking with Paula Moreto. Paula Moreto, and she... Nuvola. Bless her heart, she taught me a lot. Just like struggling to understand what a cap table is. And she...
I'm still struggling to understand what a cap table is.
I remember she whiteboarded to me then the understanding the cap tables and convertible notes and all that. the Startup Physics Challenge with Catherine. Catherine Krishna, Catherine Jungle. She launched that and applied for that. And I remember in that mix met Mara Cepeda.
Yeah.
I was super excited because I never seen other Latino on the system
Yeah.
at that point. I knew we are out there, but nobody was interacting.
Sure.
Then, fast forward couple years later, end up closing the company. We focus on where we ask providers, patients, either we were building the right tool for them. They were excited, yeah, we need this. When it came down to actually to the people that write the checks, that's where we like, okay, definitely we're focusing on a wrong individual. Administrators or a replicable decision maker across system, it was very hard to find because the way the healthcare systems pay for healthcare interpretation is different, depending from city and state. So we end up shutting it down, and Angela Jackson approached me and at the PSB and said, well, sounds like you're closing the company. How would you like to help me with a project? At that point, I was like, okay, I had time. My wife was super happy that I was going to have a steady paycheck, a day job, and that's where I become the accidental academic. Cindy Cooper from Give Me That Label, right? I started working with the PSU Clean Tech Challenge, and the premise is it's a program, a 10-week program for university students to develop a prototype of technology. They present their findings, they get grant money, and they build a prototype. We did a virtual lab that was back in the day, Oregon Best. Oregon Best. Remember having a couple teams presenting at their conference. And then they pulled me into a meeting with Business Oregon, Lemonson Foundation, PSU, Center for Entrepreneurship. And they were asking, can we build this, but make it available to other schools? Can we replicate the Clean Tech Challenge, make it available to the schools, but allow them to build something that aligns with academic programming? And of course, clean tech sustainability needs to be cornerstone to the program, but the schools couldn't replicate what you guys done at PSU.
What was the motivating factor at that time? Because that's pretty innovative thinking from a university system, the state level, to be thinking through that. Like, what was motivating them to pursue that, do you think?
I think, and I know this is my point of view because I came after the conversations got started. I think the program officer at the time with Lemonson, that was Rachel Yogola Brunet. She was looking on programming that would align with the mission of the Lemonson Foundation to support college inventors or innovators, because that's their thesis, to support the ecosystem. And it started, all of them combined, trying to figure out how we can implement this.
So it's the usual, like, the person with money has the idea, and of course everybody else is like, oh, if you're going to fund this, we would be happy to do that thing.
And I think Rachel, to her credit, she was able to see that this was something that could scale. Or they could be replicated and have an impact. At that point, we were sure how many schools would say yes to participate because the level of funding that was very limited.
See you later. Good to see you.
See you one day. I remember being in the room. Scotch Lace was from the foundation. We're talking. We came up with the name Invent Oregon. Short to Inventor. Later I find out Autodesk has an Inventor too. So don't tell them. They haven't asked for copyright infringements,
royalty fees for using that.
The goal was to have like work with 10 schools, 3 years. And for our surprise, or no surprise, I don't, depends how you do it. Year one, we had like 8 schools. Very successful program. It's still run through the PSU Clean Tech Challenge. Bless their heart, we did a presentation and final showdown at OMSI, And then we went to next day, we broke down everything and we presented our Oregon best the following days. So I imagine a team brought mini home and they dismantled it, put it back together, and that proves that college students can do anything. They're passionate about it. But that program grew up over time to be 20 schools across the state, universities, community colleges. To this day, thousands of dollars being granted to students, and many of them probably they're looking back to what they learned. And at the beginning, our goal was to build companies to school, whether in college, and they will go and create jobs in the real world. And later we realized that yes, some of them will do that, but the mindset shift they occur with all the participants. That was the real winner. That was the real winner. And you can talk to the folks from the Center for Entrepreneurship and Inventory. They can tell you how many of their alumni have been able to look at their careers in different ways as a result of the program.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I always enjoy running into those folks later in the community because they're still kind of like, even if they're not pursuing their idea, they're still associated with the startup community in some way. And so you run into them and they're on an entirely different path, but you can still tell the effect that Indent, Oregon had on their lives, on their trajectory.
100%.
Yeah.
Parallel tracks to that. I knew with the Startup Weekend. Participate in one. I love it. And I wanted to do something for the Latino community. Talk to Sashi, Travis, forgive me, I forget your last name. Travis Cannon, and others. And said, can we do Latino, this Startup Weekend Latino? Sure. They took me under their wing. We did first Startup Weekend Latino. I remember Marcelino Alvarez back then on Cork Studio. And now Photo Marine was one of the first sponsors. And that was very successful. We did a PSBA. We always did a PSBA. We did like a 5 or 6 years. So it started Weekend Latinos.
Describe the format for people who don't. The Startup Weekend format.
Basically, is Friday night. You come together with a bunch of strangers. You have an idea to run a business. You pitch it. Your first job is to convince other strangers to join your team, or vote for you, and then you build teams. And the rest of the weekend you spend ideating, doing market research, building a prototype, building a business model, and presenting at the end of the weekend. The goal is to have a company or the beginnings of a company by the end of the weekend, and hopefully a team. And that you can continue building after the weekend. And the model was mostly designed for, correct me if I'm wrong, for software companies, right? Technology companies.
Primarily tech,
we adapted that to be for any company in the industry, because our Latino community, we have people that manufacture, they do consumer packaged goods, designers, software. So having just tech, that was going to be a hard sell. But we allowed everybody to come in and participate. So that was the format. And we learned a lot from that. Things that we're good to do, we're good doing, and things that we cannot do, but we shouldn't be doing. Edgar Nava, who also was a founder with Clica, has been my partner on crime for years. He quickly pointed out we can help people scale, but when it comes down to helping with the fundamentals, which is start a business license, first accountant, bookkeeping, it's other organizations that get funding that they're really well set up to do that. We can focus on the ones that want to grow, and we can tap into our network and help them do that. So that was Startup Weekend Latino. Later become Pitch Latino. Met Stephen Green. I remember Stephen. We met first time meeting Stephen. He was, I think he was working at Prosper.
Probably.
Somebody asked him to bring sodas and ice because they were short for the event that was happening at Encore Studio. And he stopped by and grabbed sodas, drinks, and we were walking over up the stairs at the old building over here by the waterfront. And that was my first time meeting Steven. Later on, when I attended the first when I first pitched Black, I met with him. I said, "Can we do a pitch Latino or something?" I wasn't called a pitch Latino. I said, we haven't come up with the name. I said, "Can we borrow a page or your playbook?" He's like, "Yeah." Why you don't call it pitch Latino? We ran with that, and we've been in that for the last 7 years.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and this will be post, but you've got Pitch Latino Seattle, right? Coming out. I mean, you're leaving for Pitch Latino Seattle after you get done chatting with me. So, like, maybe talk a little bit about how, from those kind of that idea, like, where all is Pitch Latino now? Like, how many cities have you been to? How many companies have you helped? Like, what is the footprint of Pitch Latino right now?
Pitch Latino, we got invited to Seattle last year.
Yep.
With the University of Washington MBA students.
Mm-hmm.
We say yes, we explore it, and that created a lot of interest. So last year we decided we did Pitch Latino Seattle and Bend.
Yep.
And Bend, Oregon.
Yep.
Now we are in Tri-Cities. We did Tri-Cities early in the year, Pitch Latino Seattle in 48 hours. It's amazing how the community finds about these things and they grow together and come together.
Yeah.
We have come to 200 people in Tri-Cities, close to 300 people in Seattle.
Yep.
And then we're shifting our gears to our home turf, which is Oregon.
Yep.
So in Oregon in June.
Okay.
Pitch Latino Portland in October.
Yep.
There's Rumble of Pitch Latino California. And on some things needs to coalesce, but I think what it's telling us, without too much rocket science behind it, is an appetite for the community to come together.
Yeah.
And similar to Pitch Black, Pitch Latino is a celebration. Our entrepreneurs. It doesn't matter how big or how small you are. You're building very hard things. Building a company is hard.
Yep.
It's very lonely, right?
Yeah.
So the fact you are able to reach certain level of success with your company, with a product in the market, some sales or a lot of sales, it's a celebration, right?
Right.
So I think that's what people are craving.
Yeah. I mean, I get a lot of that sense from our community locally, is that people are just hungry to be in person at events again. I mean, part of the reason I wanted to sit down with you in person talking to you is because I think people are tired of watching other people on screens. Like,
oh yeah.
So like that event and Pitch Black have always been such a community first kind of production that I think that for people outside of the community, I almost think like the pitch part of it is misleading. Like there is some pitching that's going on, but the real value that comes out of it is just the celebration. It's the community getting together. It's like you running into people you haven't seen in a while, or like, you need to meet with, you've been trying to meet with, and you haven't had the chance to connect. So like, I've been a huge fan of the work you've been able to do there. You and your team have put together, and the fact that you're spreading that to other communities, I think is huge, because it also then connects Portland with a broader Latino community as well.
Yeah, and I think community, that's the secret sauce, right? And it's hard to duplicate because community is different.
Yep.
And it takes a village, right? Here in town, could not be where we at if Honor Wells do. You have been big part of that, big cheerleader on the sideline. Silicon Flores, nice write-ups, call to actions, Major Steven or others.
Yeah.
But I think community, that's the secret sauce that we forget that's important.
Yeah. Well, and now that kind of brings us up to Latino founders, and like it's kind of where Pitch Latino lives now. But anyway, fine. Yeah,
we're recording.
No worries. You're all good. Where we're sitting right now is really the now physical instantiation of the work you've put so much time into. Tell us about Latino founders and kind of what it means to you, not only as an organization, but having a physical space where you can bring people in.
Yeah. This space right now is, I think it's a huge milestone for all of us as a community.
Yep.
It is a lot of volunteer efforts for many years. And it's very important that as an element of the community, you always need the catalyst, right?
Yep.
For us, that was Gabriel Flores, our board president.
Let me check. My machine went to sleep. I want to make sure it's still recording. It is still recording.
I love it. Excellent.
I'll put on the don't go to sleep caffeine.
Don't go.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. So this space means a lot for us as a community, right?
Yep.
It's a lot of years, 10 plus years of being volunteer effort. And the importance of being in community, because you always find those key elements of members of the community that push you to do things better and things more seriously about the work. Our example of that is Gabriel.
Yep.
Edgar and myself, we with a lot of volunteers, we were doing things annually. And Gabriel, when he came into the mix, he got his podcast on the Chase Entrepreneurship, and we met, we talked, and he asked us the question, well, if you really want to do something more meaningful, why you don't make an organization?
Yep.
So the fact that now we're a nonprofit and we're able to secure funding from different philanthropic organizations, OCF, Prosper, Mayor Memorial Trust, and that allows us to have a physical space where entrepreneurs can come in and just work on their companies.
Yep.
And find other entrepreneurs. They're going through the same journey, and they are able to support each other.
Yep.
It's a place where either you're looking for a desk, permanent desk where you work in, you can have it here, or you're looking for a quiet place where you can get your ideas together, and with an interruption, you can do it here, right?
Yep.
And I've been talking to a lot of folks in the community. If somebody has a question about how to start a business or what to go next stage, they can always come here, get a cup of coffee, and find members of the team or other entrepreneurs that are willing to share their insights on how to do things or how not to do things.
Yep. I mean, and again, it comes back to that community and that like level of trust within the community. And I mean, one thing I learned in doing Pi, especially when it came to the pandemic and the pause, was I knew physical space and having people in the same space was important, but having to try and do those things virtually really made it clear how much work the space was doing just by having people in the same area with one another.
Do you have a cookbook?
I do.
How about that? Cookbook?
I do have a cookbook, but I didn't. And I was always adamant about we need space. Like we need a place where people can gather or where we can throw events. But like, I don't think I understood really how important that was, even for people to just have somewhere, to your point, they knew they could go. Like they might not show up every day, but they know if they need it, the space is there and they can interact with the people who are there. And it's always a rotating cast of characters. Like you never know who's going to be there. Or like, you know, one of the things I love are the weird pop-ins where like people randomly show up and then if you weren't there, you missed out. You don't want to miss out again, so you show up to the space. So there's just some interesting dynamics.
And I think when it comes down to space, it happened to me in the PSBA, it happens to me now.
Yeah.
People look at the space, and when it looks all put together, we think like at this exactly what we need when it comes into space. It could be a square room,
right? Just
tables and chairs, bottle of coffee, and that's what you need.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be glamorous.
Right.
It helps when it's comfy, but if you have a space where it's consistent, I think the key is consistency, right?
Yep.
Where you know you're gonna be able to get there and find the people that you need. That's the secret sauce, right?
Yep.
They have to be super expensive, super glamorous. Just with the basics: tables, chairs, internet, pot of coffee, and you're in business.
Yep. Who do you find being attracted to the space and wanting to work out of the space? Is it all kinds of founders? Is it people like with a specific focus? Like what are you seeing from a community standpoint about who's making the most use about
Different entrepreneurs, they have already some track record.
Okay.
They're coming, using the space consistently. Some of them have permanent desks. Entrepreneurs, they have their own facilities. Their operations, but they need a place where they can just work and without distractions, because we've been there, right? You're in the room and people need somebody from a vendor. You need information for the information about the product. So you got to stop what you're doing, and that strategic thinking time that you need gets chopped off through the day.
Yeah.
So people come and work from here. People need to take a meeting, important meetings where for potential clients, vendors or partners, they'll do it from here.
Yep.
People that are just ideating, right? They're looking to know what is the next thing for them, and they come and use the space.
Yeah.
We have a lot of requests about community events. We have a great community space. So people want to use that to bring their own communities together. And I think that we'd like to use the space that way, just because at some point in time early on, somebody opens the door for us and make a space for us to be within our community.
Yeah. Shifting gears a little bit, you had mentioned at the outset, like touching on fundamentals, like what to you is missing from a lot of, like, fundamentally from people who are like, oh, I have an idea, I'm going to start this thing, or like, where do you see the gaps in our community where we could really step up to serve folks in terms of either educating them on those fundamentals, or kind of like, I always phrase it as like demystifying startups in some way. Like, where do you see opportunities there?
For our entrepreneurs or people that are action oriented, we see a problem and we're going to come up with a solution.
Yeah.
Without talking to anybody. I can tell you that one of the first things I tell people, who have you talked to?
Yep.
Have you talked to people that have this problem?
Yep.
And they have told you that this is the right thing, right? Or this is the right product that solve their problem. And that's, for oversimplifying this, market research. You got to get out of the building and talk to people, and either have a cup of coffee around it, do surveys, whatever you need to be and talk to people.
Yep.
Emma McElroy with Wildfang. Probably you talk to her, she will tell you she talked to hundreds of people for 8 to 10 hours at a time before she even built anything with Wildfang. But that early interaction with potential customers allowed her to know her customer base, not just how much they make, where they work, but what colors they like, what kind of fabrics they like to wear, what kind of patterns. Did they like football? We're talking about soccer. Football, not American football. They like coffee, they like tea, all those things that allow you to build a nice profile for your customer base. Once you have that information, you can utilize that to decide product features, pricing points, first to market strategy. When we go to build something with that information, we're just going with a gut feeling like that's going to be very painful and very expensive. So I think it's fundamental market research, then know your true cost of building something. Even if you cannot pay yourself, you got to know how much it costs to build one unit, 1,000 units, 3,000, and scaling it. Because that would allow you to know when you can bring or pay for that space. You can bring your first pay employee. And in reality, can you make money with this business idea?
Right.
And sell something. We are so enamored with the idea to raising capital, which is important, but it has to be at the right moment. And I think we forgot, or we don't tell people that because we are burst the bubble. If we know that somebody would have told me early on, that when I was looking for angel investor, that investors will invest in companies, yes, but most of the money will go to a software company or software play or technology play.
Right.
Then probably my efforts will have been focused somewhere in the capital stack. And we don't say that. We just people ask introductions to all the venture funds and angel investors. We do those without asking. Have you do your research and know that is the right moment for them to talk to them and invest that time and effort and money,
right?
To try to raise money from them, which sometimes you get lucky for brute force, but most of the time you're gonna be disappointed because you are not ready.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we've talked any number of times about like the utter misunderstanding of the business of venture capital and like what their objectives are there. But I think the one, like, you bring up a good point. I think there's also this weird misconception that I go raise money so I can pay myself a salary, and your salary is really the last line item on anything that's going to be paid for with that money that you're raising.
100%. And I want people to be pro-revenue.
Yeah.
I think that used to be, and it's still a good strategy. You got to be pro-revenue. You got to be able to have a product, and the best market validation it has is when somebody says, here is $1,000, $20. I have met companies recently, they're doing great, $350,000, $500,000 in sales.
Yeah.
They have their facilities, they have paid employees, they have raised zero capital or private capital.
Okay.
And now they're looking to how they scale, and now they're in better position to ask for private investment. But because they have revenue, they have actual revenue with people buying day after day the product, and they know that they have something in the market. So
yeah. I mean, arguably Portland's most successful exit was a company that took that. I mean, Jama Software kind of took that trajectory. They were making money, they had revenue, they were doing well, but they knew that they needed more capital to scale. But in that situation, they weren't desperate for capital. They were kind of they had the power position in the conversations. And I think it's really important for founders to remember, like, you want to work your way into a spot where investors want to give you money, where they're coming to you saying, please let us invest in this. That's where you want to be, not where you're begging investors to invest in something.
100%. So if you're looking for a way for customers to pay you for your services, you know you are into something, right?
Yeah.
Now, depending on the company you build in, there's other elements of the capital stack. Microloans. I used to pay for the first production line and get it out of the market. Federal funding. Well, it was federal funding. I don't know. Right now, we still
with that
touch and go, but SBIR's federal funding that gives you money to do R&D, and they don't take equity. I don't say that money is easy to get access to, but it's part of the whole spectrum.
Right.
And founders, we need to take a little time to breathe, analyze everything, and look for a mentor. People that have done it before. And I think here in Portland, one of the things that I fell in love with early on, I got to meet all of you over a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And I sent an email, hey, I have a question. Could you like to share information with me? And buy your coffee. And many of you invested multiple hours sharing what you guys know. So.
Yep. Yeah. I love that about the community here too, is it seems like that accessibility of people and people wanting to kind of pay it forward or give back or whatever you want to call it. Like we're really lucky to have that here. And I didn't want to lose the, like, getting people to pay for your product. Like currently I'm going through this thing that I find equally frustrating, but that I'm equally happy about is, there was a long time there where you saw a new software product and you could go and sign up and try it and use it for free and everything was great. And like now more and more I'm seeing that like pricing pretty much immediately, like you start paying. And so I'm a little frustrated from a user perspective, but I'm also like, good on that founder for actually starting to charge people for what they built and like, and ensuring that they're actually generating some revenue. So I've seen that distinct change in the market, and I hope that it continues, because like getting yourself free users is just kind of fooling yourself into thinking that you actually have something worthwhile for the most part.
It could work to a certain point, right? But then the real test is when you start people asking for them to pay and switch from free
Yeah.
to paying customers, then you can really see how much, how well dial up you have the market, right?
Yep. So the community stuff you touched on, like we have been, like whatever you want to call the role, we've been engaged in trying to help the community connect. We've been trying to, organize and program events and those kind of things, but we're not getting any younger. So like, what is our responsibility as folks who've been doing this for 10, 15 years? Like, what should we be looking to do next, in your opinion? Like, this is a whole new, like, generation of startups. We're starting, we've had our, like, downturn. We're in the economic dark times right now. This is when people are building stuff that's going to be the successful companies of the future. What is our role right now as people who've been doing this work for so long, do you think?
We definitely need to engage with the Gen Zs and millennials, the younger generation.
Yep.
And take a little bit of our recipe or medicine, ask them what they want, right?
Yep.
Because the perspective of the world in terms of work-life balance, products is the one built, is different than ours, than our generation.
Yeah.
Also start thinking how we can share some of the learnings from our work for the last 10 years plus and share with them, with the caveat that we're going to tell them what works what worked for us, what didn't work, where the caveats to be aware of it.
Yeah.
And build for that generation. And if Guyana will go sipping Mai Tais in Costa Rica, I would love to see our work is handed over to somebody that has the same level of passion that we have for community.
Sure. Yeah.
And engaging, but also they have plenty of room to innovate and do things with their own way that resonates with their younger generation, newer generation of entrepreneurs in our community. And we give them the learnings that we have.
Yep.
But also with understanding that it requires a certain level of trust for this world to function. And just because things did not work for us doesn't mean they'll need to try it.
Yeah.
But it would be helpful for them to look back and see the things that we tried, they work or didn't work, and try to reinvent it themselves. Right?
Yep.
Also giving permission that when things don't work out, just sometimes the best thing is just close a chapter and start something new, right? Because if we're able to get to a point that all of us coalescing and supporting each other, we might not need to have this many organizations supporting entrepreneurs, or we might, but with different capacity.
Yep.
But
yeah. Well, and I have to constantly remind myself that through doing this work, we all kind of develop like into being a node of activity where we're trying to help connect all the people. And I know you get this too. Like I get used to a lot of like inbound of like, hey, would you help me with X, Y, or Z? Or do you know anybody who does this or that? And I'm trying to remember that in moving into this next stage, the folks who are building community now aren't necessarily looking to folks like us. They're busy doing their thing. And so like we have to be more present and kind of looking out for the people that we can support. And if I think back, it's like people did that for me. They're like, I kind of see what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, but maybe think about this and maybe think about that. Let me know how I can help. Like I always think of like Linda Weston as an example of somebody who was like, I see what you're doing. That's not how I would do it, but here's some ideas. Or Diane Freeman, or like people along those lines who are just like, they were paying attention to what was happening and really looking to identify folks. Angela is another great example. Like looking to identify folks in the community who had that potential, and just giving them that little nudge can be sometimes all it takes.
It's funny you mentioned Linda, Diane, and Angela. I think all of us, we interacted with them.
Yeah.
And I think the superpowers that, in a way, they're Switzerland. Or they create a safe environment, that safe person that you can go and talk to them and burn your heart out and tell them, listen, I have a great day or I have an awful day, and just lay it out. They listen.
Yeah.
They acknowledge you. They see, recognize where you are at that point in time.
Yeah.
And they can give us the hard truths.
Yeah.
And tell me, listen, I think you should try X because for these reasons. And we need more of those, right?
Yeah. We do.
Those people that are safe in our community, that we'll go and share with them and look for guidance. And we don't have enough. I think we need to be able to nurture more of those, because there's a lot more people and different point of views.
Yeah. Well, and I think you touch on something really important, is there's a level of trust and respect with those folks that you're willing to hear the hard. You might not like it, but you're willing to hear the hard feedback from them. And I think, I hear it time and time again. Like Ciara Pressler often mentions, like, Portland's just too nice. Like, there aren't enough people who are telling you the truth about your idea, your product, what you're trying to accomplish. And I think it would benefit us to have more people being honest. I mean, I'm super guilty of that. Like, I generated a whole blog that's just like, let's cheerlead about all the amazing stuff going on in Portland. Like, I'm fully willing to take the blame on that. But I also like to think that for founders I happen to be close to, founders who've gone through Pi, like, they're not getting all sunshine and rainbows from me. I'm like trying to give them real insights on what they're trying to build, I hope.
Yeah, no, it's we need those. You mentioned somebody give you the hard truths. If I'm looking right now for the people that I know them, I have my hopes on.
Yeah.
Yesenia Gallardo.
Yep.
Is one of those.
Yep.
She's very straightforward, very kind, very tactful, but she will give you the advice you need.
Yeah.
Cut through the noise. Jennifer Bolaños.
Yeah.
Accelerate. Her superpower is super creative and makes everything that she organizes look like $1 million. And the people around her shine. And she just take a step back and let everybody take the take the flowers, right? And my team, Wendy Ayala and her sister Nancy, they're very quick to think, but also very pragmatic about how they want the community to interact with them and how they want to interact with the community. Which I like it there. They say, yeah, you can come play with us, but it's a price, and the price is you gotta be accountable. You gotta bring this level of understanding about who we are. That way we can reciprocate, right?
Yeah.
And so I like that. Yeah. They held you accountable from day one, and they don't lower the standards. I think that gives me hope.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think there's also, maybe generationally, like there's a different comfort level with like honesty, transparency, where maybe with our generation we were taught to be like, no, you be respectful and polite regardless of your opinion. I'm hopeful that like the generation that's grown up with access to all the human knowledge in the world at their fingertips since day one has kind of a different perspective they can bring to our community and be not mean, but be honest and real with people about their ideas and what they're pursuing. I mean, part of it, Portland would not be Portland without that niceness. I mean, we wouldn't have a coffee shop on every side of a single block, in Portland, and we wouldn't have all the brew pubs and all those things if people weren't encouraged to take on their like specific, unique viewpoint on a product or something. But yeah, I think there's some happy medium there.
Happy medium. And the next generation is very curious.
Yeah.
They're very curious about things that did not work out for us. Like we have all these different groups doing the same level of support for entrepreneurs, other efforts.
Yeah.
They sometimes we don't talk to each other.
Right.
And they ask the obvious questions. Why you guys don't talk to X individual or X organization? Yep. And we lay out reasons like, oh, that's nonsense. Come on.
Yep.
And so I think they're very curious to figure out how we can accelerate what we do together.
Yep.
And they're willing to push that to be able to explore new ways to do things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Portland has like so many, like, especially in the nonprofit world, so much like duplication of effort or people all doing the same work. And a lot of it is that culture of scarcity. It's just like, well, this is my space. And if you're getting $1, that's $1 I'm not going to get. And like, I really do like that they're starting to bridge those gaps and be like, look, if you collaborate on this, the amount of money that's going to go to it is going to like triple. So like, if two of you work on a thing to get 3 times the money, then you both win. Like, I think that culture of abundance and like trying to collaborate in a more meaningful way is definitely something we need to work toward as a community.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I think we need to take a long-term vision of results.
Yep. But
also be aware of the cost. I think I mentioned earlier, there's a cost to everything that we do, right? It's time, resources, investment, infrastructure, and oftentimes we account for everything, but for the time of people,
right?
And how long it takes to get things done.
Yep.
And if we're talking about entrepreneurs, each entrepreneur is a different timeline. Some of them will accelerate very quickly. Some of them need a little bit more time to incubate their idea or marinate what they're working on. Some of them take a long, long time, and we need to be able to build the wrong way.
Yeah.
But also support the wrong way, right? Oftentimes we ask nonprofits or volunteer organizations to bear the brunt of putting together an event or technical assistance, as they call it, and the economic development world, without counting the true actual costs or do that, right? And I was listening to Mayor Wilson about budgets, right?
Yep.
The budget describes what is important for that specific organization or a state or government agency. And I think as a society, we need to be able to add in our budget lines, being able to cover the cost of our connectors or volunteers, however you call it, beyond the exposure.
Yep.
It's beyond the exposure. Oh yeah, when I mentioned you did this, right? I think that's why I was talking to somebody earlier who was saying all these nonprofits that do great work, but once the core team goes away, things deflate.
Yep.
And it takes a little bit of time to go back to what they need to be. And I think it doesn't need to be that way. It's going to be some attrition and things slowing down, but we're able to actually invest in those individuals to make sure they stay longer or they transition their expertise to the next generation, would be better off than trying to new things. Things disappear.
Yeah.
And trying to build things away again. And we built exactly the same thing that somebody built 2 years ago.
Right. But the institutional knowledge has evaporated, and so we just rebuild the same thing. Well, and to your point, like something you said earlier, it reminded me of that, where you get the founder who's like, oh, my COGS is this, and I'm charging this, and that's a 20% margin that I'm earning, so I'm good. And you're like, how much time are you spending on that? And then I go, I hadn't accounted for, I was just counting materials costs and production costs. It's like, well, you need to increase your margin because you need to pay for your time. And I think that also translates into the nonprofit world, the work we do, where it's like our time tends to be discounted because people say, well, they're doing that for the greater good. They're getting some emotional benefit, so we don't need to pay them the going rate, or they would be programming events anyway. We don't need to pay them to do that work. And I feel like that's something we need to fix in our community because, like, again, back to generational, I don't know about you, but like, I try not to do it, but there's some like martyrdom in my head where it's like, oh, I'm going to do this. And well, I'm not going to get paid for it, but it needs to be done. Somebody's going to do it. And like, I think that like, this next generation is not going to tolerate that. They're going to be like, you don't value my time. I'm not going to do it. And the infrastructure is going to fall apart.
Yeah, I am the same way. We commit to do something. Doesn't matter the cost. Doesn't matter how long it takes. We got to get it done.
Got to get it done.
It's Saturday night, burn the midnight oil until everything is done. And something that should have taken 2 weeks, we cram in a week to deliver a deadline. And I think that's generational.
Yeah.
As a Gen Xers, we're wired that way.
Yeah.
The new generation is like, nope, you get 40, 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
That's all you get. See you next week. And I think it's healthy.
It is. Yeah.
It is healthy because then we're able to truly assess the cost of something that gets done. Otherwise, we skew that effort.
Right. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. I think that's one of the things I definitely don't want to pass on as we're mentoring the next generation. Be like, yes, your time has value. Please charge people for that time. And again, back to identifying the customer, like, so I think where I always had the struggle was founders benefit, but they're not from the work, a lot of the work that I do, but they're not really the customer who is like benefiting the most. And it's figuring out like who can pay versus who should pay and like getting creative in that way too.
And in that regard, is probably we hear a lot of this word, public-private partnerships.
Yeah.
And for me, that it boils down to our planning as a society. We gotta have jobs, and we want a high-paying job, right? Six figures, and where we can pay for a home, and vacations and all that. We gotta be able to bring all those people that have the money, philanthropy, state, city, and federal, and sometimes the private sector, to come together and chip in on the effort, because at the end of the day, they will be able to have that flywheel effect on what kind of companies we build and the support systems to get them to fruition, right? Is we've seen many companies locally that have done very well, and they have hundreds of jobs created. But also, Yesenia mentioned to me the other day, we got to stop investing in the exceptional. We got to stop investing in the home run, the unicorn, 100% of that. We got to start looking on the who's going to hit being based more often, right? The small, medium-sized companies, they grow to be a healthy size, $100 million, $50 million in revenue, year after year, having 10, 15 jobs in the area, and they are consistent hitters, right? It's like what is a Moneyball, right?
Right.
We gotta have a good blend. We wanna the ones that are gonna hit a home run, but the rest of the team needs to be those that consistently going base. They hit a hit. And we have a lot of businesses around the spectrum. They oftentimes get overlooked, right?
Right. Well, and I think we don't have the language to describe that. We've inherited this language of like, oh, this company raised $100 million. They employ 1,000 people. They're all getting paid really well. Never mind that company only exists for 3 to 5 years and then fails or disappears or whatever. And like, there are other companies out there that they've had 100 employees, all of which have been working there for 20 years and contributing to the tax base that whole time. Like, there needs to be a way to talk about the value of those kind of organizations, because to your point, like, every business is contributing something. We need to figure out like where the sweet spot is for Portland. And I don't think like high-flying unicorn tech stuff is going to be anything Portland will ever be terribly successful at. We may have a few here and there, but like if you step back and look at it, Nike is a complete fluke. It just happened to be here because that's where Phil Knight built it. And like now we have this whole ecosystem that surrounds it, but like the initial instance was kind of a fluke. You have like Tektronix, kind of a fluke. Like we don't demonstrate that occurs time and time again here. We have some really great examples of amazing companies, but I think we have far greater examples and more prevalent examples of different kinds of companies, not just big, huge, publicly traded kind of organizations.
I think somebody needs to, or is already doing, hopefully somebody's already doing, tracking what they did with Fairchild Semiconductors effect in Silicon Valley.
Right.
But we got to do it with Nike, with Columbia, and the other big Tektronix, that it is a way for those ex-employees for those organizations. They're creating businesses, and they're not necessarily in tech.
Right.
But we got to be able to track how many of those individuals are creating business, and what kind of business they're creating, and to be able to get a flavor of maybe where to distribute our limited resources as a state to support also the bulk of it, right? I think it's 95% of the business are small business in the United States. I think we're not the exception. So, but those are the consistent ones that they create the jobs, because once we rely on the big employer, the one season has to lay off 500 people or more, then we feel the effects. But when it's a small business, I think we are more resilient proof to any economic downturn.
Single point of failure. Yeah. Which seems to be a consistent thread in what we've been talking about. Juan, thanks so much for the time. Anything else? Like, where can people find you? What else do you want people to know before we let you go?
LatinoFounder.com. They can always find us there. Obviously, all the socials, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Sure, we do Facebook. The other one used to be a bird. We don't play much in the background, but definitely we're trying to do threads. Reach out for coffee. And just keep thinking how we can buy a cup of coffee for the next person and pay him forward. At the end of the day, it takes all of us effort to reach our community, and we get some things right, some things wrong, but at the end of the day, we gotta take a long-term view on how we can do better.
I agree. I'd rather have people taking more risks and trying different things, like even if they might not result in success.
Absolutely. For entrepreneurs, pro revenue. And remember, you always have a choice. It might not be the choice you like, but you always have a choice.
Thank you, Juan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.